My name is Jesenia, and I work with Stop Stern Family Violence, and I also co-chair the Violence Against Women Committee at the Coalition for Women Prisoners. The legislation that we're talking about right now, the Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act, is a critical piece of legislation that not only do we hope you all support and sign on to, but also spread the word about. At STEPS, we work with survivor defendants. We work with women like Debbie. These cases aren't rare. There wouldn't be an agency working on these cases, working on over 100 cases a year if these kinds of cases were rare. One of our main jobs is to try to get the narrative of the history of trauma and abuse to come into play when a woman is going through the criminal justice system. For the DA's office, the judges, for everyone involved to really hear how the trauma history impacted the instant offense. And we're successful on a lot of cases, but we still are not successful on all of our cases. And so sometimes we cannot get some of the information in, and sometimes we get the information in and women still do time, are still convicted, still plead to charges. And in New York State, as in many other states, when you're charged with a crime, the penal code works so that there's a minimum and a maximum for each charge. You can't deviate from that, and if you are charged with an assault case and you're a survivor of domestic violence and you were defending yourself, or if you were the perpetrator who was charged with an assault case, you're both looking at the same minimum and maximum time. There's no mitigating circumstances, there's nothing about the trauma history that goes into play, and what we want to do is we want to change that in New York State. The Domestic Violence Survivors Justice Act, what it does is it says, hey, let's slow down a little bit. The mitigating circumstances of her trauma history has something to do with why she's in the criminal justice system right now, and it should be looked at. And judges should have discretion about sentencing right now for domestic violence survivors. Right now, there's not really much of a balance. There's a lot of the cards are held by the district attorney's office. They offer the pleas. They decide what to prosecute, how to prosecute it. And when it comes to sentencing, the judges can't deviate from the penal law. We're saying they should be able to. They're the neutral arbiter of the law, and they should be able to say, I think that if I believe that this defendant is a victim of domestic violence. If she was a survivor of domestic violence at the time of the instant offense, if her history of trauma is a significant contributing factor to the instant offense, and if it would be unduly harsh to charge her under the current penal code, I will charge her under this law. And what the law does is that it significantly reduces the amount of time a woman would do in prison. She can be diverted to an alternative to incarceration program, and she can have sentences of probation on cases that right now under the law she wouldn't be able to. So what we're trying to do is keep women out of prison who are survivors of domestic violence. Incarcerating women of abuse is not the answer. It perpetuates the cycle of violence. She's re-victimized, and it just doesn't work. And it's unjust. So what we're working on here is to bring justice to a system that's not just. We're hoping that you all help us out. Sign the sign-on letter, make copies of the sign-on letter, give it to your friends, post it on Facebook, go to the dvsurvivorsjusticeact.org website. You can then post it, you can put in and talk about coming to this film and saying how it impacted you. You can send a link to your friends, ask them to please join on to the campaign. Right now we have 90 organizations who have supported the legislation. We have 13 legislators in the Assembly, 13 in the Senate who are co-sponsoring the bill. In January, we're going up to Albany and we're going to be advocating for this bill to be passed into law. We introduced it last year. When we saw Yoav's film, we said, whoa, brilliant. Like, this is exactly the kind of tool we need to explain what we're doing.